Hi, everyone. Welcome to Hanratty'S Huddle. I'm Rob Adams. Terry Hanratty sitting right across the way from me as we dive into another look around the world of sports and an interesting weekend of especially pro football. Little bit of college football, though, Terry. Are you an Army-Navy guy? Do you ever watch that?
I do watch it. I have great admiration for those kids. You know, at Notre Dame, we played both Army and Navy every year.
Yeah.
And you always came out with a lot of bruises. You always won. We always won the game by 30, 40 points.
Yeah.
But those kids in the first quarter and the fourth quarter, they are going just as hard, if not harder, in the fourth quarter. And you want to say, come on, stop. Then you say, wait a minute. These are the people going to be leading our military. We don't want them to stop. And they are just highly competitive, and it's always a great atmosphere.
It was a good game up in Massachusetts, and excellent job by Army to come out with the victory. And yeah, I always enjoy it. I always watch it every year.
And the pageantry beforehand is
so
just
great.
Spectacular. And even if you go just a normal game up in Army.
Yeah, at West Point.
It is just spectacular what they do up there, and it's just a beautiful setting, and it's really neat. You're happy for those kids.
Yeah, definitely special place for sure, and of course, you know, it goes without saying, but thank them all for their service as well.
For sure.
The NFL, interesting weekend, as I said, and really the highlight coming out of it, what people are talking about is the game between Kansas City and Buffalo, and let's be honest, they're talking about the Kadarius Toney offside call. I don't have a problem with it personally because he was offside. He was in the neutral zone without a doubt. What did you make of it?
When I first saw it, and Mahomes hit Kelsey down the middle with that pass, and Kelsey immediately took one step and threw a perfect strike to Toney, I'm going, this is the greatest play I've ever seen.
It was a great play, yeah.
It was unbelievable, especially the accuracy. You expect the accuracy from Holmes. But for Kelsey, tight end, who just sort of did a half turn and just boom, just a bullet to Toney. Then all of a sudden there's a penalty and you go, whoa, this is horrible. How can this possibly be?
Yeah, there is that.
Then when they showed the replay, and you could see Toney, he was actually looking down the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
He saw where the ball was, and his head and his foot was across the line. And everybody said, well, it's only a couple inches. Well, a couple inches. I mean, I was on the wrong side of a play is a couple inches 100 times, and the right side of the play 100 times. It balances out.
Yeah.
But you have to call the play the same way in the fourth quarter as you do in the first quarter. And he was offside. There was no doubt about it. I don't care whether it was 1 inch or 3 inches. But he was looking down the line of scrimmage, and he should have been able to tell right there. And you look, he needed leverage. Every football is a game of leverage.
Yes.
Whether you're an offensive lineman and you need that just a couple inches below the defensive lineman when you could root him out in a 3rd and 1 situation. And you don't know that Toney didn't get the leverage because he had a little better angle, even of a couple inches. That means that's a world of difference.
Sure it does.
And to get downfield that easily. And it happens. It's sad. It ruined the best play in pro football for the year, but that's the game, and you got it either way. I mean, when Mahomes went crazy, I don't think I'll give him the benefit of the doubt because I don't think he actually saw the replay.
Yeah.
So maybe he overreacted. But as much as I love Andy Reid, he wasn't really that persuasive after the game that he was going to excited about the call. I mean, he didn't want to say that. Well, it's the right call. Let's go on to the next play. Next game.
Yeah. And that's what you have to do. You have to have a short memory and put it behind you.
That's it. And it's, it's one of those calls. It happens all the time.
It does.
And this just happened to be a night game, national TV. So the whole world saw it.
And look, the Chiefs have not played great football recently either. They've scuffled a little bit this year. It's not coming that easy to them.
No, it isn't. And, they've sort of switched up on what they're doing. They used to be a real deep ball oriented team. And now they're trying to be a more possessive team where they're hitting the ball 6-8 yards at a clip. And that's a lot of completions compared to 1 for 50 yards. So, they're changing a little bit. I think it's probably the personnel that they've changed around a bit. But Mahomes is still Mahomes, and I think he is just a real magician with the ball.
Oh, I agree. I just think he's, so spectacular in what he does. Either way, neither team was going to be happy with the loss of that game, and it's the Chiefs in this case. And, I think the win for Buffalo, not only from the perspective that they get back over 500, they stay in the playoff mix, but it was important as an overall team for Buffalo. I think it was more important to them than it was for Kansas City.
Oh, it was, and they've had a couple of losses that, like my Steelers, that shouldn't have been losses. But
yeah.
But they had to stay in. They had to win that game because you can't fall that far back. And it's getting towards the end of the year, and these wins now are much more instrumental than they were at the beginning of the year.
I have to ask you about the Steelers because what I saw last week was really bad.
The last 2 weeks have been horrible.
Yeah.
And it's, everybody's calling for Tomlin's head. And it's,
I'm not, by the way.
No,
I never will.
Neither am I. I don't think that's the problem.
Nope.
I think is you don't have a great offensive line. You lost your quarterback who you weren't quite sure whether that was the quarterback of the future, Pickett. And now, Trubisky comes in. He hasn't played in 5 or 6 weeks, so you don't expect him to throw 5 touchdown passes the first game. Then they keep talking about they want Rudolph. I would love to see Mason Rudolph get an opportunity.
Would you really?
I really would. Because I saw him in college, and I thought he was really good. And the times he got to play in the pros, he had a real bad start with Roethlisberger.
Yes.
When they drafted him, Ben just crapped all over him.
Yeah, he did.
We don't want him. We don't need him here. We wasted a draft pick and picking a quarterback. I got many more years in me, all that stuff. So the Pittsburgh loved Ben. Ben was the winner.
Yeah.
So now all of a sudden this rookie coming in and Ben's talking bad about him. What's the rest of the town going to do?
That's a tough spot.
At one point he was voted the worst or the least liked person on the team. And the guy wasn't even playing.
Yeah.
He just has had a bad trip. And I think the love with Pickett is sort of cooling off with the Pittsburgh fans because he hasn't been playing that well. Now he's hurt. Now you got Trubisky, which they're not going to give him a very long leash. And now they're calling for Rudolph, the guy they booed.
It's amazing.
Like crazy last year. They won him back this year.
You're right. They are, because no one's more popular on a team than the backup quarterback.
Yes.
Unless you've got, Ben Roethlisberger or Joe Montana at the top of the line, no one otherwise is more popular than the backup. It goes without saying.
And this is a big year. There's going to be a lot of decisions made because there's a lot of young quarterbacks who are not doing as great as people thought they were going to, Pickett being one of them.
Yeah.
Now, there's a lot of quarterbacks coming out this year. So, and there's going to be, I think, a little shift in the trade situations. We maybe trade this guy and to pick up a young quarterback coming in. But like I think we've mentioned just about every show we've had, don't even think about that quarterback.
I agree.
Until you get that offensive line. Because you see what's going on with the young down in the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
Kid is getting crushed because there is no offensive line, and he's not that big a kid physically anyway to take that kind of punishment.
No.
So I mean, they're not putting anything in front of him.
Right.
And they're not giving the great receivers. Don't draft the quarterback, don't draft the running back until you have the big hogs up front to protect that person.
You can't help but wonder when the Steelers, I'll stay on them for an extra moment. You've got 2 quarterbacks you're clearly not thrilled with. One quarterback you still have a big question about. When do they spend a draft pick? Obviously not a high one, but when do they spend a later round draft pick on a quarterback? Do they?
Well, I don't think they will. I don't think at this
not
point
yet.
They should.
Yeah.
Because they need so much more.
They do.
I mean,
I agree.
You just can't waste these draft picks on backup quarterbacks. You have to really solidify your offensive line and your defensive line and really add to your depth of both sides of the ball. That's when you can start. You have the luxury of going for a quality running back, backup quarterback type situation. But until you do that, I mean, it's true because we mention it every week that the offensive line makes the game.
That's why I want to see Pickett with an offensive line, a good running game, and then let me see him. And then I want to see who he is.
And they got these linemen are in the free agents every year.
Yeah.
Why aren't the Steelers going out and signing these kids from other teams that are developed offensive linemen? And there's a lot goes into the mix.
Yeah, I have faith in the people who run these teams. They're far smarter than I am. So, speaking of quarterbacks, it's quarterback at Notre Dame that's making a little noise.
Yes, it's interesting. We had Jack Cohn come in from Wisconsin 2 years ago, and we lost 3 ball games.
Right.
We had Sam Hartman come in last year from Wake Forest, and we lost 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
And both are great guys. I didn't meet either of them, but what I hear about Cohn and Hartman are really good quality people. So you wish them all the best of luck.
Yeah, you root for people like that.
But we have quarterbacks, young quarterbacks. We got guys hitting the portal because you're bringing in quarterbacks. Now, there's 2 questions you ask yourself. Are we not picking the right quarterback out of high school?
Yeah.
But then you look and you say, wait a minute. Everybody else was out after that kid.
Yeah.
So it must have been the right person to go for. Not everybody can't be wrong on them. But they're leaving. And then you start saying, well, do we have the ability to develop a quarterback? Do we have that right person to develop a quarterback? And that's got to be your problem. I'm all for grabbing the kid out of high school,
Yep,
developing him to your program and your university. You let him get embedded with the student body and, really make it a family affair, which Notre Dame has always done in the past. And that's what we build ourselves on. And let them go through the normal progression. So, because how do you recruit a quarterback? Say, well, coach, the last several years you just bring in a gunslinger for that 1 year. When do you project me to get a shot at playing?
Yeah.
Kids got to ask this question, and I just don't see. We could have done just as well with our quarterbacks we have now and lost 3 games.
Yeah.
But we're developing young talent at that point. It's not just a quarterback that comes in for that 1 year and we lose 3 games. Let's develop. Let's get a pipeline of kids who can play and just push them through the system that way.
So who do you want to see playing quarterback for the Irish next?
Well, Angeli, the kid from Jersey.
Yeah.
Do I pronounce the name right?
I think so.
Yeah, he is having another senior moment here. They're coming along much too quick anymore. But I've seen him in spring practice, and the times he's been in the games, he's been very, very good. And he's a big kid. He's a tough kid. He's fast. He can run the ball, and he can really throw the ball. So now, with Hartman, opted out of that game, Angeli is going to be the quarterback, which is really good. I want to see him play. And Minchie, the kid who had signed with Pittsburgh or committed to Pittsburgh last year, then at the last minute or came into Notre Dame. But Hartman has taken a lot of grief from a lot of different fans. A lot of Notre Dame fans, because he was here, came in as a gunslinger. Now the season's over. They're playing a bowl game, and he opts out to go work out for the pros. Well, if we were playing in the playoffs, he would stay and play. There's no doubt in my mind. But here we are. We're going to be down in El Paso, Texas at the Sun Bowl. Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
That's right.
On December 29th. I don't blame kids for taking that one off, because you're really helping the team you're leaving. Because you're going to have an Angeli get to play and Minchie get to play. And you're going to have a couple guys that are not going to play on the offensive line or running back. So you're going to give some other kids opportunities to get into the game and get some playing time. Whether you win or lose this game is not going to make or break your program.
Right.
So just go with the younger kids and let Sam Hartman, God bless him, hope he does well in the pros, and let him do his thing and Notre Dame do their thing. So I have no problem with Hartman leaving.
And for what it's worth, Angeli, a product of Bergen Catholic High School right over in New Jersey. And that's a great high school football program.
And he's a tough kid.
Yes.
He's a big kid, like 6'3" and about 218, 220, and he can run, and he has a good arm. So let's get him on the field and see what he can do. because I think he can do very well.
The Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl.
Tony the Tiger. You really believe? I didn't know Tony was still around.
He's still around, I guess.
Wow.
But,
wow.
Yeah, good for him, I guess. You feeling good going into the Sun Bowl for Notre Dame?
Well, I want to see, our recruiting has gone very well.
Yeah.
And we're a top 5 team again. But now we got to prove that we can develop these kids. And I think Marcus Freeman, definitely, like I've said 100 times, he is the man to coach that team. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, you're comfortable with him.
Very comfortable. I think he is, because we have more depth right now than we've ever had under Kelly.
Yeah.
We had, little spot the first time, put the second team in, it goes way down. But no, we have the depth, and I think we can. Marcus is building that depth even stronger. And these kids, he's getting a lot of 4 and 5-star kids, not 5, but a lot of 4s coming in where Kelly got all 3s.
Yep.
So these kids are coming in now. We have to develop them. That's the key. We got to put them in the pipeline and make sure you get at least 3 good years out of all these kids.
You're local to where we're recording here in Greenwich, Connecticut, and the high school football team out of New Canton just won another state championship with the winningest coach in the state, Lou Marinelli. How does he do it? What makes a great coach like that?
Well, I know Lou very well. And obviously my son played for him. Yep. I got to know him even better. And he is just, he's been there for 100 years.
Yes, he has.
And
I think 1980.
Been really successful. He's a real disciplinarian. And he used to be, I'll never forget this. I was coaching Connor in that FCFL, but Little League football.
Yep.
And so I'm, and Lou used to be a big, Woody Hayes coach. Fullback up the middle, fullback off tackle, that boring football. Well, when I start coaching with the little guys, I said, you could be a 3rd grade. That was the lowest. But most were 4 and above.
Yeah.
And I said, these kids, I want to teach these kids what they're going to know in the future. And that's shotgun.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever get a 3rd grader and try to teach them to snap that ball to the quarterback? I went through more pain.
Oh.
That ball was just rolling back.
Oh.
Didn't have enough strength to put it over the quarterback's head. But after a while, after, the second year, and these kids started to get it, and they realized this is what they're going to have to do in the future.
Yeah.
So that's what we started. We took the pain early, and I'll never forget the high school was practicing on one field, and we were on the other. And Lou was crossing by, and I said, Lou, come over here. I want to show you this. So he stood with me behind the offense, and my quarterback gets up to the center, snaps it back. It was about 6th grade, I think it was. Snaps it back, boom, right to the quarterback. Got my receiver, went down and ran a big flag pattern. Quarterback threw it out there, hit him right in stride, boom, went in for the touchdown.
Love it. That's great.
I says, that's what you got to start running. And from that on, he started running the shotgun. I don't think it was me, but he saw, wow, if they're going to go through the pain there, we'll try it over here. But Lou is just, he's so consistent. And he knows what he wants to do. And he's not going to be bullied by anybody. He's not going to be persuaded by anybody. Lou's his own man. And he's been very successful at it. And
his players, and he's produced several. In fact, I just saw Zach Allen the other day, on Sunday. I saw him in one of the games. Yeah. Yep. Came up with a big sack in that game. His players love him.
I coached Zach in 1st grade basketball.
Wow.
It was co-ed.
Yeah.
My daughter was the point guard, and it was 4-on-4, and that's the most successful team I've ever coached. Because you were just handed a roster.
Yeah.
So no draft or any of that stuff, which is bad. But somehow I got handed 8 kids who could actually play.
Oh, wow.
It was unbelievable. I had to force the kids to slow the game down because we were just running ahead of everybody. And I tell my daughter, she was our point guard, and I say, take it down the middle. And I dubbed Zach Allen Baby Shaq because he was head tall on everybody.
Good reason.
Back then, the hoops were 6 feet tall.
Yep.
I said, Aaron, go down the middle, dribble down the middle. If they collapse on you, just throw it over the top to Baby Shaq. And Zach would get the ball and just put it in the hoop. And they couldn't stop us.
Yeah.
And, when we'd kick it out of bounds, they'd kick it out of bounds, it'd be our ball. I said, no. Give them the ball back. We want to just work on our defense.
Yeah.
Just try to hold down the score because it was crazy. But we had 8 kids who could actually play, and that's the most successful team I've ever coached.
Yeah, we don't talk enough around Connecticut about the quality of athletes that come out of the state. We kind of get looked down on in Connecticut a bit, and there have been quite a few very good athletes to come out of this state, so got to put a little respect on them.
When you look at Greenwich, you go Steve Young. And John Sullivan with Notre Dame, great offensive center. And there's Connecticut's not a big state, number one.
No, it's not.
It's not a Florida or Texas or California size-wise. So you're going to have the percentage-wise, you're getting some really good quality kids come out of here.
Yeah, they definitely are. And I just once in a while we've got to put a little respect on this state for having some really good athletes. Every state has good athletes, but Connecticut's done okay as well.
Very good. For the size of the state, they've done very well.
And congratulations to all the state champions here in Connecticut and throughout the country as high school football basically wraps up. Connecticut almost always the last state to finish up high school football.
Well, when I grew up in Pennsylvania, Western PA was the godfather of high school football back then. We didn't have a Thanksgiving Day.
Oh, no kidding.
No, when I came to move to Connecticut, they go, we got Turkey Bowl. What the hell's Turkey Bowl? Well, Greenwich plays New Canaan. Or, I'm sorry,
Greenwich Staples, Darien, New Canaan.
Darien, New Canaan.
Yeah.
Going, really? On Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Because I do all the cooking at home, so I'm cooking the birds. So the only time I went to the Turkey Bowl was when my son Connor played in them.
Oh, no kidding.
So I had to push off the bird, and we ate a little later till after the game.
They are fun experiences. They are beloved here in Connecticut, the Turkey Bowl games. But you're right. New York State doesn't play on Thanksgiving, save for a game or two. There are a couple that play. But they're in the middle of their championships at that point. They play them the following weekend, and it's over.
Now, we had a weird system in Pennsylvania, Western PA. It was called the Gardner system.
Oh, interesting.
And you had to be undefeated to get into the championship. So obviously there were years where there wasn't a championship game.
Wow.
Until they've stopped it now. Everybody and their brother gets into the playoffs.
Yeah, that is true.
You're going to be 4-8 and, hey, yeah, you're in. Oh, good. We're number one.
Do you like that? Do you like a bigger?
Not at all.
No.
I like, right now they got the 4, everybody's complaining about the 4 guys chosen in the playoffs.
Yes. In college football, yes.
4 is probably too little. They're going to 12 next year. I think 12 is too many. I think if they go to 8, then you worry about number 9 and 10 complaining.
Yeah, because top 12 people are still going to complain.
Yeah. 13 and 14 are still going to get the same pitch in. Yeah. So it's you can never give them enough, but you don't want to give out too many trophies.
No, I agree. And winning a trophy, and I only played, baseball in my town. Most years you didn't get a trophy unless you made the playoffs. And that, when you made it and you got it, that meant a ton.
Yeah. Now
here, you participated, have a trophy. It's just not my style.
Let's do it.
Well, yeah, that's the way it goes. Terry, good show. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay, Rob. Thank you.
And that's it for Hanratty's Huddle. For Terry Hanratty, I'm Rob Adams. We will see you next time.